Welcome to the stream, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of our D&D campaign that we've been doing for nearly 3 years now. We have fine party members below me that are all going to introduce themselves, but this is the Seregen campaign, also known as the Rule of Thirds campaign, now that, all the secrets are all out and everything like that. But welcome in. Hope you're all good. Let's let the party introduce themselves, and then we'll see what happened last time.
Hello, I am the Banewall, and I have cheese and crackers, but I also play Belzian Gilkis, the half-elf monk.
I'm Amatus, and I play Roger Mays, the Wood Elf Assassin, and I had cheese crackers, but I ate them all.
I'm Shade, I'm playing Ulrich Oakenhearth, the Human Paladin. I am crackerless and cheeseless.
I am Jaeger. I play Yardwick Venisonbringer, the Halfling Ranger, who just has been working on those stacking some gains and getting swole, not with crackers or with any duck sausage, sadly, just some fresh coffee.
I'm Atomic, and I play Zippo, the Kobold Sorcerer, who has picked up Disintegrate and is ready to throw on armor and use that spell. Possibly on the armor, maybe on the swans. I didn't have that before. Know what I'm going to try next.
And I am the Wombat of DM. Not currently running any PCs or the NPCs for that matter, but I'm here to tell the story along with these fine folk. So let's talk about the story so far. The group is currently wandering about the vampire territories, or baronies, I guess, as the map says. We are decidedly heading in a southerly direction to try and treat with the vampires' leadership. The party doesn't know too much about what to do in that capacity. They're just hoping for the best, but they have a promise to fulfill, and that's where they're at the moment. Last session, they were in the midst of combat when we started with some sort of creature that was very potent. It kind of split itself into multiple creatures at one point and gave the party hell. Lots of their magic did not apply to it, and it soaked up a lot of their spells and damage as well. But in the end, they managed to not only kill it, but track its footprints to its lair after some consternation, whether they should or not. When they arrived at the lair, which is a cave that lowers into the ground, they found themselves talking with someone who asked them to come free him. He was trapped, so they went down and discovered hanging from the ceiling in shackles a vampire. So whatever this creature was had a vampire imprisoned in his lair. That being said, at the end of session, out of session, I told the players that they could level up. We are currently just leveled, which is why Zippo mentioned Disintegrate. So before we get into the talk with the vampire, or whatever you want, wherever you want the interaction to go, is everybody leveled? Let's discuss that first.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so that's everybody. Cool. Okay. So let me set the scene a little bit, just to I kind of left it at a cliffhanger so that we could kind of tee it off this time. So the vampire is hanging from the ceiling in shackles, as I said. The room, I believe I said last time, had a bunch of large hewn furniture made out of, that seems to be rock, maybe kind of carved out of stone. The room itself appears to be reinforced with wood in pillars along certain intervals, and there is some evidence of perhaps mining. This looks like it's an old mine of some sort. So that has been repurposed into the creature's lair. So yeah, that's what you see. The vampire, I believe, last time greeted you, and that was where we ended it. So I leave it in your capable hands.
I think the only person he knows of is Zippo right now, right? Because the rest of the party's kind of hot, hidden.
Roger is still sneaking, but followed you down in. I don't know if the rest of the party has come in with us.
No, I believe everybody else is waiting outside to see who gets eaten.
Valid. Yeah. So Zippo's like looking at it. Is there a way I could just like? Is there like any keys laying around or?
You could do a search.
What does the inside of this place look like? Aside from the hewn furniture and the guy hanging from the ceiling.
It looks like a lived-in area with there's collapsed passages, but it looks like the entrance to a mine. You even see an ornate-looking minecart that's actually flipped upside down and used as a table toward the center of the room.
Interesting.
Huh? Zippo will look around if he can even reach. I imagine the stuff in here is probably really big, like comparatively to him.
The furniture is rather big. The table, the minecart, is bigger than you, yes, but it's not as big as the furniture is relatively speaking.
Gotcha, okay.
It looks older too. This furniture looks like it was formed more recently.
Gotcha. So we do an investigation or perception check to see if I can.
Investigation.
Okay. Hey.
I could just pick the lock, you know.
I mean, he doesn't know you're there, so.
You begin looking around the room, and the vampire says, I think the thing has it.
Okay. With a 9, I imagine Zippo's probably still looking around the room, but more with like a curious look than instead of looking for something, like just kind of like, yes, furniture.
While Zippo's doing that, Roger will communicate to the rest of the party what we found down here. Hey, there's what looks like a collapsed abandoned mine and a vampire that's being held hostage. This might be our opportunity to get that information we were after.
Also, let me speak in the proper voice of the vampire. It wasn't. I think it took it with him, or I think that thing has it. It's I think that let's see. I think that thing has it. So more like that.
Roger will step out of the shadows and move over to inspect both the vampire and the shackles themselves.
The vampire kind of looks unsurprised to see you and just nods at you. Are you here to free me, elf?
See if I can. While I work.
Something I forgot.
What is your name?
I am Zictor.
Zictor. And whom do you serve?
He tilts his head at you quizzically. What do you mean?
Every vampire I have met here serves one master or another, be that the king, the queen, or Orcus or otherwise.
He He lets out a breath through his nose quickly, and like as in to half laugh, and says, "The Queen." Dismissing the other two suggestions immediately.
Oh. Then I shall free you. I'll pass this information to the rest of the party, and then let them know that I was going to free him regardless of what he answered. I just wanted him to think that it was dependent on who he was working for.
Gotcha.
Wait, through the rings. Wait, Roger. Is it like a super powerful looking vampire, or just kind of some vampire schlub? Like, what kind of vampire do you got down there?
He introduced himself with his first name. If he's powerful, he's not that powerful.
I like that one.
Understood.
Wait a minute.
Also, the thing that we killed was keeping him captive. If he could get out of here, he would have.
Ulrich will come down.
Yeah. So what do the shackles look like?
The shackles are a bluish-looking metal that look new and polished. They have no rust or sign of corrosion. They kind of gleam in the midst of the earthy room.
Mithril? Cobalt? What are these? Anybody in the party an expert on special metals?
I can take a look.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm on my way down as well.
Yeah. As Ulrich walks down with Yarvik, he's just gonna think, "Hey, there a reason we want to free him before we start asking questions?"
I can make this process take as long as we like, Roger says
All
over
right.
the rings.
All right. Just making sure that we're not hurrying to free it.
It is, I'll say out loud to the vampire. Simple as it may seem, this lock is complicated. It may take some time.
Being that you don't know if that's true or not yet, and you're going to basically make it take as long as you want it to. I'd like a deception check.
Absolutely. Roger's an expert at this. 20.
Okay. I'll roll my d20 and calculate from there. Right.
As Ulrich comes down and sees the vampire, I'm gonna say he lit a torch to come in here, and he's gonna say, "Roger, Zippo, sir, how's it hanging?"
He simply corrects you with his name, Zictor.
Victor.
A
Alright,
curious
well.
lock and curious shackles made from a curious material. Would you like a look?
Well, as you know, I know a thing or two about metals and locks. Let's take a look here. So, Zictor, how'd you find yourself in this situation?
Well, that thing is what we call a... Oh, what? Sorry, 1 second. I will be prepared to respond in 1 moment.
Was it a nullifier of some
Yeah,
sort?
a nullifier. Thank you. Yeah. I just wanted to get the description up just to make sure I if I need reference, I had it. The thing I mentioned earlier that took the lock, or the key, I should say. I've been upside down a little longer than I would have liked.
Golly, well, I can't say I know too many things that would take on a vampire, or, why would it imprison you? And while he's doing this, Ulrich's fiddling with the locks, mumbling occasionally, like, shoot, that is intricate.
Feel free to give me a deception as well. He basically grimaces and rubs an arm, which you now notice the clothing he's wearing is tattered in some sections, but especially the arm that he rubs. It looks like it's torn at the shoulder, so you can just see his bare arm. The arm has some scarring on it up toward the shoulder. And he says, "It has been feeding on me for weeks."
While they're doing... Well, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, please, I was just going to say I rolled a 7, but please go.
While all of this subterfuge is going on with the difficulty of these locks, Yarvik is just going to saunter over and kind of peer intently and kind of like tap the metal, and he'll listen if it sings. So what would I need to roll to see what I can figure out about what kind of metal that is?
So what type of knowledge are you trying to utilize to discern the metal?
So it's a mineral, so some kind of nature, like if I'd ever run across this ore before or anything like that.
Sounds good to me.
And a 20.
Okay. You've never seen metal like this. But, you can't place a name, but it sounds familiar. A blue metal that doesn't rust. Maybe you heard it in a story once?
Yeah, communicate that over the ring. Something along the lines of, I've never seen this metal before, yet there's a familiarity here. I'm going to have to think about this a little bit.
When Zook hears it's like a very strange metal, he's gonna come over and he's gonna look at like the base, not where like the vampire's chained up, but he's gonna look at the base of it and be like, "Hey, when this is out loud, by the way." He said, "Hey, when we get this guy free, we definitely need to take this stuff because it kind of looks like it might be cool to have, and it seems kind of rare since Yarvi doesn't know what it is, and I'm gonna add that to my hoard."
So you're looking at where the metal is connected to the room, right?
Yeah. Zippo's just kind of like eyeing the chain and stuff because he's kind of hoping that when he's looking at it, he's like, maybe he's thinking to himself, he's like, maybe Ulrich can be strong enough to rip it off the wall for him.
Sure. The chain itself that the shackles are attached to seem to be woven together. It's not a shackle of sorts, or sorry, not a shackle. It's not a chain with links. The metal itself seems to emerge out of the rock and is twisted in a braiding and then seamlessly attached to the shackles, which are in a loop like a rope that have been kind of it's almost like a noose around his wrists. So to describe this on the wrist side, there is a lock that is at the knot of the noose, which is what you're trying to pick, Amethyst. The lock does seem to be fairly simplistic in nature, but being that it is made in this material that's rope-like, you're not sure how much of a bluff this really is. So it was intended to be a bluff, but as you're like kind of prodding and poking it a bit, you actually realize that there might have been more truth to your lie than you realized, which, by the way, gave you an invisible plus that I added to your score. So
the best lies are actually true, where you simply tell the truth and happen to deceive people by giving them information. Well, should we prove capable of freeing you, Zictor, sir, where will you go?
I am going home. I have been called.
Back to Mayhanir?
He nods, which looks odd upside down.
Perhaps we will see you there someday.
He frowns and says, "You are going to Mayonir too?"
Not now. But we have heard that many of the barons and baronesses have been called, some of which have brought their servants with them. And perhaps, too, we will be called there.
He studies each of you again. He's been kind of watching the party and listening. And he seems to confirm to himself something again, and then says, "Who do you serve?"
That is a complicated question.
No, it isn't.
You would think that.
The question is not complicated. The answer may be.
Yes, the answer is complicated because we recently were separated from oh my gosh, the Baroness's name just completely flew out my mind.
History check?
Avon.
Von Bevon of Malkavia was who we were recently separated from.
All right.
If you want it.
No, yeah, you're good. It was named, although Von Bevon is slightly off, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it flew out of Shade's mind, less so the guy who was there 3 days ago.
Fair. That being said, trauma does some interesting things.
That is true.
Ernest
Bevon, yeah, I just had to search my notes real quick.
Okay, so just out of character, you are both implying that you serve Bevon, correct?
Well, what we're saying literally is that we have recently been separated from her.
Okay.
Which is true.
Exactly. There is truth in the lie.
It's a lie of omission.
I don't mean to imply anything. I mean for him to infer certain things. But that's not the same. But yes, if you need me to roll deception, I'll roll deception.
Give me deception. Yeah.
You were
or
there
him?
just a few days ago. A 20.
Okay.
Thanks for reliable talent, making my terrible die rolls all equal 10 instead of whatever number that would have been otherwise.
He breathes out and he says, "Okay, let's talk terms. It is obvious that you do not wish to free me, so I will offer what you wish as payment for my freedom. I do not wish to linger in this cave before the nullifier returns to destroy us all. What do you want?"
Assurance of safety from you and a contact, should we find ourselves in Mayanir. Somebody
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go on.
Ulrich's gonna think in your mind, like, please don't limit this to just let's share details.
And I'm sure that the kobold would love a blessing of riches in silver and gold. Were you to have such things available to us?
At the mention of silver, his eyes narrow, and he says, "You are not even of the Baroness Bavon, if you mention silver in such ways."
My friend is a joking idiot. He likes to run his mouth because, unlike myself, with a certain level of reverence and fear, he finds it somewhat amusing that silver is, well, you're so powerful, and yet silver is something that often is avoided. And so he thinks that it is a fun thing that perhaps you do not need, and thus might be willing to part with. But why you would carry any, of course, well, that's the joke. I apologize for making light of your situation. And I will certainly roll a deception check if God wants me to.
Yeah, go ahead.
In the rings is supposed to be like, so should we ask him about the swans, or where are we going with that?
I got an 11, but go ahead, sorry.
That was Isabeau just asking in the rings if you guys think he should ask him about the swans, or...
I think we need to leave the swans out of this conversation, especially the way it's going right now.
The way it's
Out of
going
the conversation and out of his mouth as well.
the way it's going right now, it might be best if we just leave him here, honestly.
Yeah, I'm also for that.
But rewards, possibly.
Ulrich will, as he gets an 11 on this roll, will think at Roger specifically. Do we think he's a useful idiot or a threat? I guess to the group he says that, but he says Roger on broadcast. Roger, do you think this is a useful idiot or a threat?
I think I've bungled this negotiation, and he has gone from A to B.
Okay. Hey, we all do that sometimes. I was thinking the other day, not only did I really fuck up with the Baroness, but I actually think I could have cast Daylight, and I just forgot recently. So, you know.
I
Sorry
learned
about
I learned how to move earth so I could spare you shoveling dirt. And you could have just spared you shoveling dirt to begin with. So I think that's even.
Yeah. Uh, sorry. So, yeah, anyway, my friend, he likes to run his mouth sometimes. And that, I think, is why the Baroness maybe kindly allowed us to wander off a bit.
Forced, more like.
Again, kindly.
As it would seem.
She kindly might be up on the surface, looking for us. Maybe we should all go check. Belzian just leaves.
This is going poorly, I think.
Well,
You're not
gosh,
alone.
what makes you think that, Victor? Just because we don't have a key?
No, I think you were about to leave me.
Oh, shoot. I don't know why I would leave you.
I ask you what you want. You want safety from me? I will give it to you. You wish to have a contact when you go to Malkovia? Or Maenir? Excuse me?
Yes.
Yeah. I can do what I can. Is that everything you need?
How about you
Well-
forget we ever existed instead? I like that option more.
Swear to silence about
Yeah.
us. Not anything else, but about us.
Since we're evolving this conversation a little bit, Victor, yes, I think perhaps we don't need to be contacts, but strangers and left as such might not be a bad idea. But I wonder, was it your king or your queen? Our king, of course, or our queen, who called you? For the Baroness, of course, she was called by our queen. I'm just curious.
It was Cordelia. As I said, she is who I serve.
I do apologize. I think I may have been slightly distracted by that as I was examining your lock here. And do you know why? Because the Baroness did not deign to tell us. So us heading there, we are a little nervous.
We are all returning to Maenir.
That's interesting.
Over the rings.
Yeah.
How much do we want to try and extort this guy? How bad do you think it's going to be for him if he doesn't show up?
Well, I'll be
being
honest.
consistently eaten throughout the week also doesn't sound great. So
Well,
I feel like he's probably pretty much Plato at this point.
The thing is, we killed the thing that was eating him.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know if vampires can starve to death, but that also doesn't sound great if he can.
Well, I'll be honest. And at this point, Ulrich, because, you know, we're having these conversations in our mind, we need to, I feel like we should be pantomiming something. Ulrich will vocalize, let me look at my pack. Maybe I've got some lockpicks to help you out of here, Victor. But Ulrich is thinking, I'd rather kill him if we're not going to free him. Frankly, it might be a good science experiment, as it were, to see how that would go. But I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm wondering if we shouldn't be heading north at this point, or perhaps to the west after all. Because if all of the vampires are gonna be in the kingdom, or in the castle, as it were, well, it sure seems that their borders are a little less defended. I know that we're here on a peace treaty, but I kind of lost a lot of hope for that.
That's because you've only interacted with servants of the Queen. Maybe we can offer to free him in exchange for our safety, a vow of silence about us, and locations and affiliations of each of the barons.
Is there any way to compel him to comply with the vow of silence? Can we? I don't know how that would work.
If you doubt that his word is his bond, then our safety's not assured either.
With that question, Yarvik, please make a history check for me.
I think I know where you may be going, DM, and Ulrich can try and vocalize that.
Yeah,
as
go
well,
ahead.
But well, I mean, the Queen compelled the Baroness, but I feel like, and unless I'm mistaken, I felt that was magical in nature. Although we were kind of dipping back and forth on whether or not maybe them making bonds in general might just be a thing that they're automatically bound by.
That is the impression I had playing by fairy rules, so to speak.
Yeah, the Baroness implied that contracts are sacred to the vampires, and that's what they work in.
Right. Well, I mean,
Which, remembering this, explains why he immediately said, "What are your terms?"
yeah.
Well, what terms do we want? And in Over the Rings, like, what?
We need information about
The Swan.
Yeah, well, I gotta be honest. Yeah, we can try and get information about the Swans, but that's lower on the tier list. We need information about the other vampires. We need information about the division between the king and the queen. How big of a rift is that? And we need to be forgotten.
Question for
Or-
you, DM.
Sorry, go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna ask. Do the chains seem magical?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure.
So
Here's observation over the rings. We could just go for broke and see if this guy can get us into Mayhenir. And then we can get all that information on the way.
the Queen wants us
Right,
dead.
but we're walking into a lion's den.
And if all of her barons and baronesses are there, if all of the vampiric nobility under her control have been called back to Mayhenir, then we do not want to fight her. We do not want to walk into a trap, right? I am more interested in hearing about where the king's barons and baronesses are, and what the political situation in Necrata is, such that the queen and the king are ruling together but separately.
I mean, I don't know about like the total, but I do think I remember the Baroness before we killed her. She was talking about something. Well, obviously she didn't die, but before we killed her for the first time, she was talking about how the king's men, I think is who it was swearing allegiance to.
Orcus? No, she was
Yeah.
she was concerned about the people who defected from both, and who were swearing
that's what it
allegiance
was.
to Orcus. Yeah. she told us almost nothing about the people who had sworn allegiance to the king, and partially because we didn't ask, but it doesn't seem like she was making an effort to inform us about it at all, either.
Well, it's because she picked her side. I mean, the king might be the answer to a lot of our questions, but
Yeah. That's why I want to ask for a list of baronies, locations, names, and allegiances. Because that's the information I think Ulrich was looking for to begin with, when we were talking to the Baroness that we didn't get because we brought up the swans.
Union kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we need to find, if we're going to be successful in the mission we were sent here for, we need a foothold of some sort.
And how much are we all okay with telling this guy that that we're actually from Seregen / Relic?
I mean, I don't think there's any way around that if we're asking these details, frankly.
I mean, all he's got to do is look at us, and he knows we're not from around here.
Roger can pass.
I don't think it would.
Roger's an elf, and he steps in and out of the shadows like they're his fucking house. He looks like he's from Necrata.
While everybody's discussing this, after Zippo puts up the swan idea, he's going to go over and open up his bag of boarding and go down and get the armor and try to put it on. I don't. It'd probably take a minute to try to put it on, but he's gonna try to put it on and just see if it shrinks for him, or if he needs to get it altered.
Worst case scenario, we try to grill this guy, and if we don't get what we want, we can do what Ulrich suggested and eliminate the threat. Or at least experiment to see how that goes.
I have some silver coins. I have 6 pieces of silver.
I think, I guess, like, assuring him, like, we're maybe not fond of the vampires, but we're not here to destroy them. We're just trying to unite the peoples on a mission of peace.
Yeah, we could just lay it out there for him, do what we did with the Baroness, and go from there. Ulrich will think.
All right. In that case, I'll take point on this. If we're all on board with this plan.
I'm good.
Zippo Belzian?
Yeah.
I'm fine with whatever.
All right. All right. Zictor, you have suspected, and were correct. We've not been entirely straight with you. We represent the interests of Seregen and Relic to the west and to the north. And we're here to negotiate peace with your king and queen. We met with resistance from the Baroness in Malkavia and have journeyed elsewhere.
In fairness, she was very nice.
No.
Well, she was very nice until she wasn't.
Yes.
You're in a different situation.
Yes.
We want a few things. Some of which you may not be able to provide. Some of which you most certainly can. So we'll start with the ones you most certainly can. We want personal safety from you. You are not to attack us or attempt to harm us in any way. We would like information about all of the baronies and counties and so forth, all of the landed gentry, the vampiric nobility, all of the political players in Necrata, who they serve, where they're located, what their names are. We'd like a vow of silence for you to not speak about us to anyone. To the limit that you are, to the extent that you are capable of making such a promise. And we would like an audience with the political leaders of Necrata, your king and queen, to our understanding. To the extent that you are able to make such a promise. Peaceful one, where we can negotiate a real peace between Seregen, Relic, and Necrata as a whole, to preserve the existing borders that the wall once enforced.
And if I could just say, any advice you could offer towards brokering the peace we seek would also be appreciated.
And in exchange for this, we'll make every attempt at our disposal to free you from these shackles and allow you to respond to your queen's call.
So the things I've typed up, feel free to review them. Let me know if those things are to the and feel free to adjust or make your own. I just kind of quickly typed.
Those details should include locations, boundaries, affiliations, conflicts between the baronies, etc.
And specifically, as best as he knows it, specifically the relationship between the king and queen, and what he knows about those two individuals. If there's rift or conflict or anything like that.
Oh, and the vow of silence, specifically not to mention us to anybody, except as required for the other parts.
And that's where he'll start. First of all, he kind of cracks a smirk and says, "I like you. Starting off peace negotiations under threat is very vampire-like. The other territories have chosen well, I think." Allow me to mention pieces that I think will be in conflict. The vow of silence will not be possible to, while also seeking audience with the king or queen. To take such action would mean a detriment to allow such audience to take place.
What about a vow of silence except for explicitly telling the king and queen in person, seeking that audience?
If you seek an audience with the king or queen, the easiest way to do so would be for us to travel together south to Maenir. In order to do so, I must speak of you.
Yeah, any attempts to Ulrich, Roger will say out loud, any attempts to weaken the silence clause would neuter it completely. It would be too easy to work around it.
That is valid and fair.
Plus, if you are on a peace-seeking mission, what is the point of keeping silent if you are with me the whole time? And have my personal safety.
Well, that is, see, and I'm going to level with you here. We said that the Baroness was very nice up to a point. And the point was when she was no longer able to guarantee our safety.
Did you have an agreement that she breached?
Suppose we didn't. Well, that is a good question. I feel like we did have an agreement, but I don't know that we know how your agreements work. Do you do paper? Like, is this a verbal handshake or?
We never had an explicit contract with her, Ulrich.
Okay.
Perhaps that was our mistake.
Well, okay. Well, let me ask you a question then. What could let's say that your queen gets wind of you coming south with a lot of us and doesn't like that, and she tells you, kill us. Does that suddenly nullify our safety?
I will tell her that I have promised your safety under contract, and she will understand.
Well, damn.
Over the rings, I'm going to say, that translation means she'll kill us all, including this guy.
It's the as I said before, again over the rings. What the Baroness said is that her word is her bond. A vampire's word is their bond. They must abide by the contracts that they make, by the agreements that they make.
Yes, I agree. I'm just, and again, this is over the rings as well. But
You
I
want to
feel
know
like-
if the Queen can overrule that, and it seems
Correct,
the answer
yeah.
is no.
right, and I'm happy with that answer. Okay, all right. So, Victor, we nullify the vow of silence. We travel with you under your safety. Any other issues you have with our terms?
The information piece is problematic. It is an all-inclusive.
Is it not specific enough?
It is
or are
not
we asking
specific
for too
because
much?
the details are that which you do not know, especially that which you do not know of my knowledge. I cannot give you everything you seek. I can tell you what I know of the players that I know of, but I cannot give you every single baron. I cannot give you all the political players, and I cannot even tell you who each serves, because I do not know the minds of individuals. I only know myself.
Let's amend that clause then, and say to give us the information of what you do know, in as much detail as we ask you for when we do ask you for, so that we may ask for very simple levels of detail at the surface level of your knowledge, and may probe you later for more detail if it turns out that that's not enough. Is that fair?
This is even vaguer than the first attempt.
When we ask questions, you will provide information if you can. I know that's even more vague, but is that
This does not work.
okay?
If I were to know the combination to my vast riches, and you asked for them, I would be required under oath to give them to you. This is an all-encompassing promise I cannot give. Simple as that. If you wish to know specific information, I can answer it now and make it not part of the agreement. This is
Okay.
a tall agreement as it is with personal safety, as well as seeking an audience with the Queen, who seems to, as you say, not like you. However, an agreement is an agreement, and my life is forfeit if I do not agree. So I am under a witch's tit, if not, as you say.
Over the
Alright.
ring. I'm going to say to the guys, remember, we got him over the barrel, and we're negotiating from a position of authority, right? He doesn't really have too many options right now. We can force the issue if we want. He's equivocating right now.
Right, but I think that I mean I'm very much realizing that I think this goes deeper than just like a preference or a want. I think this is just something he cannot do because
He's
of the way that the magic that impacts them.
it's too broad. What he's saying is that we are effectively saying we would like full access to his entire memories from the instant that he was birthed until indefinitely into the future. And as somebody who lives a very long life, somebody who can expect to live a very long life, I can understand why he'd be hesitant to make such a promise. So why don't we amend that to the existing baronies, the major political players, and their affiliations to the best of his knowledge, as it stands now at the present moment, and no more information than that, unless you guys have specific questions. Does that sound fair? I'm saying that over the rings to the party.
Yeah, I think that sounds fair. Whether he'll be able to do it or not is another question. I at the very least, I'm willing to chat with him now while we have him, if that's what we have to do.
Okay. Well, let's say outside of the realm of the contract, so that we don't trap you into being forced to divulge your memories at our whim. We'd like to know who the major players are, and who you think they serve, or what your speculations are, perhaps, tagged as such in your descriptions, and where they lie geographically. Any major cities we should be aware of. And so forth. We're looking for general information, and I don't want to make our question vague, but we don't have outside knowledge of the inner workings of Necrata is small.
Yes, it seems you only know one name, or two.
A few. But as you, we are letting on less than we know.
Well, I can tell you about our rulers, as this will help you with the machinations of brokering peace.
And perhaps why you serve your queen specifically instead of your king, what that situation is.
He sighs and says,
Maybe it's like, maybe it's just like they serve who turned them, you know? So like maybe the king turned certain people, and then so on and so forth.
To speak of the relationship between the king and queen, I believe that would be best added to the contract, so it does not appear to be that I am a sellsword for divulging certain secrets. The rest,
understand.
So we can unofficially, in terms of I did not suggest this, add the king and queen to the agreement, as they are the rulers of Necrata. The barons themselves all serve them, so they are truly who you wish to know. As this will also assist you in potentially brokering fees, this makes sense to be a part of the agreement, and is finite enough that I can assist and agree to.
Over the rings, that seems fair to me.
Happy.
In terms of the Varens, I do not hold any alliances or allegiances to any of them. So, I will speak candidly as I choose to, as we travel, or if we encounter one, I may tell you what I know, but I do not care for the Barons as much as I do our leadership. This is another reason why I was hesitant to agree to divulging information. There is much I do not know, for I do not care.
Over the rings. Great. This guy's a true believer.
Well,
I feel like this guy
Ulrich will
doesn't
be
like middle management.
Ulrich will be in good company, as he is also a monarchist.
Okay.
Are you telling me you didn't willingly go to war for? Never mind. We're not going to get in this argument again.
For the man who saved my family, anything.
Right. And my guy never did anything good for me, so I, of course, shouldn't have ever served it. Anyway, we had
Yet again, you two and your backgrounds are at odds. It's
Yes.
so great.
But not for the reasons you would expect by looking at our class names.
So, once we get like the contract going, Zippo's gonna ask in the rings. Because do you think it'd be too much to ask for a little bit of his blood if he has any?
Oh,
Just for
Jesus.
experiment purposes later?
Or, sorry, other deity. Xerus.
By the 12, Zippo.
By the
What
12.
the fuck?
I'm just curious, because, we didn't really get any from the Baroness.
Zippo, if you want to make a separate contract with him about exchanging his blood for something of value you have, sure. But don't tie that into this one that we're already negotiating.
Fine, I'll ask him later.
And Amethyst, since you're kind of brokering this, I would. He's going to basically ask for you to write out the terms, so I'm going to have you do the same.
Okay, I will type some shit up and post it in the out of character chat. So we have a few clauses. Number 1, personal safety. The agreement, before clauses, we have the parties of the agreement. Party number 1, the vampire known, or the entity known to known as Zictor, to the adventuring party representing Relic and Seregen, currently comprised of Roger, Zippo, Ulrich, Belzian spelled correctly, and Yarvik, including more identifying features if needed, but enough that we are clearly identified as us. But listing the party to the agreement as the adventuring party, rather than each of us as individuals. Now to the clauses.
So I was going to say, somewhere at the top, you definitely have our names listed. Like, we are identified as the adventuring party.
Yes, the adventuring party representing Relic and Seregen, currently comprised of Roger,
Yes.
Zippo, Ulrich, Belzian, and Yarvik. But should we end up adding people to this party, maybe that will be covered, maybe not. I don't know exactly how it works, but at least the 5 of us will definitely be covered.
Yeah.
Personal safety, the entity known as Zictor will will make no attempts to harm or harm, attack, or otherwise bring harm to the adventuring party, either directly or indirectly. 2. Audience with the rulership of Necrata. Entity known as Zictor will make any and all requisite efforts at any and all needed efforts. Any and all efforts required.
Yep.
To grant the adventuring party a peaceful audience with the rulership of Necrata for the purposes of negotiating a peace treaty between the lands of Necrata, Relic, and Seregen. And we can include in the contract, if we want to, that the treaty is for the purposes of maintaining the boundaries that were once enforced by the wall. Or we can leave it at that. Up to you how you guys want to do that. Information regarding the nature of the rulership of Necrata. Entity known as Victor, or as Zictor.
There you go.
Yep. Will provide information detailing the nature of the rulership of Necrata, and the relationship between the king, queen, and their subjects. Relationships between king, queen, and their subjects, and provide advice where possible towards fulfilling the goals in the other clauses, including but not limited to the safety of the party, the safety of all parties involved, and securing an audience with the rulership of Necrata. Clause number 4. Release of the entity known as Victor, or as Zictor. The adventuring party will make all attempts to the best of their abilities to release the entity known as Zictor from the shackles, from their current state of imprisonment. Um, exact measures to be taken will be discussed and approved by Zictor in advance. This clause will be completed once Zictor is free from the I should put that in every clause, actually, what validates completing them. Or whether they have a defined end date. This clause will be complete once Zictor is free from the... we never identified that metal, did we?
Free from his bonds.
I need them to be more specific than that, or we're going to get trapped into removing him from being bound by promises to so no, I am not typing that out.
Free from the shackles containing him to this wall in this cave.
Yeah. Free from the shackles. I need a way of unambiguously describing the shackles that he's currently wearing. We don't know what metal they are. Are we able to mark the shackles in any way?
Or do they have a mark upon them already?
Yeah.
I mean, the identifying feature of the shackles are that they're braided, right?
Right.
From the braided metal shackles in the underground layer of the nullifier, as identified by Zictor. Once, yeah. This clause, regarding the information clause, this clause will be completed once the party has what's a way of saying we've gotten into meeting them in person and have started talking to them about diplomacy shit?
Negotiations?
But that but I need a way of saying that doesn't mean as soon as he informs them that we're going there, he no longer has to tell them about us at all. Right? For asking for information, I want him to be released from telling us more about them contractually once he has completed getting us audience and we are in audience with them. I'm not sure how to write that unambiguously.
Do we need to give exit terms? I feel like that might be.
I think with the information clause, yeah, we probably should, because otherwise it's too open-ended, right? I'm not going to slap exit terms on the personal safety clause, but on the other three, I would like to, because he will like us more if we do that.
Okay, sure. for the personal information, or for the information, he will be released from this term upon successful in-person introduction to the king and/or queen of Necrata.
I'm going to word that slightly differently, but yeah, this entity known as Zictor will be released from this term once the venturing party has been introduced in person. To the rulership of Necrata and diplomatic negotiations have begun. So they can't just say hi to. They can't just pass our names off to the king and queen and tell us to fuck off. We have to show up in person, see both of them in person, and begin diplomatic negotiations before he's released from that. And the second clause doesn't need an escape clause because it is only asking for a task to be completed and kind of is inherently from that.
While you're writing, Zictor will kind of speak a bit of his piece and say, I am well aware that I am bound to this contract more than you. And thus, one particular thing that is necessary for this contract to be effective is that any attempt on my life will breach it by those under the contract of my protection. But only if you break it.
Very well. That as we're asking you for the same protection, it seems fair for us to offer it to you as well.
So, Zictor, question for you. You said he's been eating on you like all week. So do you like regenerate limbs, or is it kind of like he takes a bite and then you kind of heal that bite?
He waves his free arm that's kind of just hanging and says, yes, I have regenerated this arm 5 times now.
Gotcha. Roughly how long does regeneration take?
It depends on if I feed or not.
Gotcha. Is it very painful? I imagine it is, but I don't know if vampires feel pain, so...
It is painful, yes.
Gotcha. Last question. Well, not last question, but other question. Vampires have blood, yes? Like, do you have blood in you? Or is it kind of like you're dry until you drink something type deal, you know?
You are a curious one. Perhaps we shall uncover these mysteries as we travel.
Because if we can't unlock the chains, I was thinking maybe we just cut your wrists and ankles off so that you can pull them out. And then, boom.
So the main shackle is around his neck, the noose, which is what's trying to be picked. There is a loop around his wrist, but it seems that if the the neck shackle comes undone, it will disentangle him from his bonds.
Gotcha. Okay, I was thinking it was more of like he was kind of being held there by 3 shackles instead of one around his neck.
No, yeah, it's kind of it's mainly this. The rest you can't untwist the noose that supports him, or the loops that support his other appendages. But as you can see with his one arm, he has been freed in at least that one, but still is locked down by the neck, and that's probably on purpose, right? It's you can cut off an arm, you can cut off a leg. Doesn't work so well when you cut off a neck.
Gotcha. Okay. Well,
all right, folks. I'm gonna
post
a little magical
here. Gotcha.
Are we cool with this? Are we cool with this contract? Is there anything problematic in here that I've not noticed?
I trust Roger completely. Also, Zippo wouldn't even be paying attention to the contract. Would it be possible for me to study the chain around his neck with like an Arcana check to maybe see what kind of magic is on it?
The metal is a void to your check.
Okay, gotcha.
When you peer into it, you get nothing from it.
Gotcha. Okay.
I assume everyone else is reading the contract at the moment.
I had to say, I'm just getting approval from the rest of the party before we present this to Zictor.
I was speaking and not realizing that I was muted still. Item 5, the adventuring party will make no attempts to kill or destroy Zictor while the above clauses remain in effect.
Yeah, because if we don't change that, then we can never attack.
Well, in fairness, we're not bound in the same way as the vampire, but I think that will at the very least make it amusing to him to see that, like, hey, we won't kill you today.
Yeah, the adventure party will make no attempts to kill or destroy Zictor.
Unless the jerk tries first.
Yeah. He should be bound by the first clause.
Like, what if he tries to turn us into vampires? Is that considered a harm? Or just
I could say the adventure party will make no attempts to kill or destroy Zictor, so long as Zictor is bound by the contract. Because you guys don't want to leave off the table the option of doing something later. But,
well, I'm just saying I think that'll be a little ha-ha for him if he sees that. I think he showed appreciation for us negotiating from a peace from a threatening position. I feel like he'll appreciate that.
by the terms of this contract. Okay. Amending Clause 5 the adventuring party will make no attempts to kill or destroy Zictor so long as Zictor abides by the terms of this contract.
Yeah, I think that's perfect.
Yeah, that's finally worded. I like that. Speaking as the GM.
I have a lot of experience speaking precisely to very, very stupid devices. Thank you all for your help. If we're all happy with this agreement and we don't have anything we want change. I'll do one last pass before I tell our dungeon master that we're all cool with it.
And I think for the sake of our viewership, it would probably be worth, once you're officially done, reading it out loud in totality, and we'll take that as Victor reading it.
Yep.
We can paste it in chat.
I'll go ahead and capitalize all of our names while we're here.
And make sure Victor is spelled correctly in all of them.
It is Ziktor. Is that correct?
Incorrect. It's Zichter.
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 Tor. Is that what you said?
Er. I posted it
Elephant
up
return.
at the beginning.
God, you know I can't read.
It's actually it's the very second post from today.
Wait. You're the way wrong guy to write this contract.
Hey, look, you guys are the ones that let an engineer near the keyboard.
And yeah, Zichter will say as you're writing the first one, my name is spelled with a CH.
It certainly is convenient that the people in this part of the world use the same kind of font and letters that we use.
The lettering system, the orthography, that's the word. It descends off from a common starting point, right?
Yeah, we're basically all the same people.
We have the names of the king and the queen, right? Cordelia is the queen, and we have the king's name somewhere. Right, guys? Right? Please help me.
Hey Victor, what is the king's name and how do you spell it? What is the queen's name and how do you spell it? Actually, I think I have the spelling of the queen's name in my pocket. I can give you that.
The king is named Zechariah. Also with a CH.
There's no way I'm spelling Zachariah correctly.
It's Zachieria. Is that correct?
Ariah.
Oh, of course. What was I thinking?
Interesting. The part of Seregen that I come from, the letter is pronounced Z.
I'm going to
And
reorder
This is why we had a war, you know.
about the letter H.
About the letter Z.
Z.
Yes,
My name
Z,
starts
if you
with
want to
a
be
Z,
dead,
too.
it's Z.
My name starts with a Z too.
All right, we are.
Just hear a harumph from outside the mine.
I am reordering the clauses of this contract because we don't need to highlight all of them by name.
And Ulrich put the name of the queen in chat, in OOC as well. Cordelia.
Cordelia?
It's interesting that all these CHs are K sounds, huh?
I mean, I know why English does that. I don't know why the common tongue in your campaign setting does that, but I know why English does that. Because Latin was busy not using the letter K for anything and borrowed C and H from Greek and said that's fine. And so all of the words that came into English that use ch to make the k sound are Greek words like chorus or chaos or chronology.
Cool. No, that doesn't have an H.
Oh,
Chul.
Most of the other ones are from German, but that's usually sch, and have a different origin, but they're not at the start of words. All right. One last proofreading pass here.
And feel free to proofread. Why don't we take our 10-minute break? And when we come back, we can unveil the final contract.
Yeah.
All right. We'll be back in 10 minutes, folks. We just take a break halfway through the session each time, so we can stretch our legs and water our plants. But we'll be back. Don't go too far. We'll see you soon. All right, welcome back to the stream. We are back from our break, and we are currently deliberating some final touches to the contract that we are signing with the entity known as Zictor.
All right. Does anybody have any? Does anybody have any more additions, changes, comments, requests, etc. they would like to make before I read this out loud for posterity?
No, I'm good.
can we convince Zictor to change his name to something completely ridiculous? Beep beep poo poo
That's
man.
part of the agreement.
Beep beep poo poo man. No. Okay.
Oh, come on, we've got him over a barrel. We don't need to humiliate him more than forcing him to sign a contract.
Yeah, no, I think we're there. Although Ulrich will think while you're drafting this up, as soon as we release him after he's signed this and all that, I am going to tell him we killed that monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want him to know.
We don't know for sure that the one that we killed is the one that put him in here.
Well, that's valid.
Well, you know, he's basically part of the party as soon as he's agreed not to attack us and
Yeah.
help us out.
He's
We
our new
just
son.
casually describe a monster that we killed and see if he picks up that it might have been the one that captured him.
All right. If we are all okay with these terms, I'm ready to read it out loud.
You hear like an approving grunt from just outside the mine. Mm-hmm.
All right. Roger clears his throat. The parties of the agreement. 1. The entity known as Zictor, hereafter referred to as Zictor. 2. The adventuring party representing Relic and Seregen, currently comprised of Roger, Zippo, Ulrich, Belzian, and Yarvik, hereafter referred to as the Diplomats. Clauses. 1. Zictor will make no attempts to harm, attack, or otherwise bring harm to the Diplomats, either directly or indirectly. 2. The Diplomats will make no attempts to kill or destroy Zictor unless provided express permission to do so by Zictor, so long as Zictor abides by the terms of this contract. 3. Zictor will make any and all efforts required to grant the Diplomats peaceful audience with the rulership of Necrata for the purposes of negotiating a peace treaty between the lands of Necrata, Relic, and Seregen. 4. Zictor will provide information detailing the nature of the rulership of Necrata, the relationships between the king, identified as Zachariah, queen, identified as Cordelia, and their subjects as needed, and provide information and advice, where possible, towards fulfilling the goals in the other clauses, included but not limited to the safety of all parties involved and securing an audience with the rulership of Necrata. Zictor will be released from this obligation once the Diplomats have been introduced in person to the rulership of Necrata and diplomatic negotiations have begun. 5. The diplomats will make all attempts to the best of their abilities to release Zictor from their current state of imprisonment at time of writing. Exact measures to be taken will be discussed with and approved by Zictor before undertaking any such measures. The diplomats will be released from this obligation once Zictor is free from the braided metal shackles in the underground layer of, quote, the nullifier, end quote, as identified by Zictor. 6. Acceptance of the terms to this contract will be indicated by each party in writing by means of signature or other identifying mark. Each party agrees to abide by all terms/clauses in the contract to the extent that they are bound. Is this acceptable?
This is acceptable to me.
And Roger will sign the contract and hand it to Zictor to sign.
Victor holds it with his free arm and reads it over once more, studying it thoughtfully, and then asks for your pen, or whatever you use to sign it with.
Yep. We'll hand him the quill.
He signs. Simply Zictor.
All right. Before we try anything more complicated, I'm going to attempt to pick the lock. Do you approve?
I do.
All right. So Roger will go up to pick the lock.
All right. Give me a check, please. Sleight of hand.
19.
It doesn't pick.
Is that not a reliable talent for you?
It is a reliable talent for me. That's why it's a 19.
Oh, right. Sorry.
19 is reliable. It's not the best Roger can do. It's the worst Roger can do.
Yeah.
Well.
I mean,
we could attempt to undo the knot, undo the braids here.
yeah.
If we can put some slack in the chains, we would be able to break their contact with Zictor's skin.
Are you saying that out loud?
Yeah.
This will not work. The bond gets tighter as you try to remove slack. It is already quite uncomfortable.
Well, Zictor, do you have any suggestions?
I do not recommend trying to affect it with magic. It will simply absorb it. I cannot go gaseous. I cannot change form while in these bonds.
Would you
Go ahead.
I mean, you're a strong guy. Did you try? I assume you tried to break it in a physical.
He looks at you flatly.
So that assumption is a yes. I just want just spitballing here. If magic's not going to work, it seems to me like we might need to find the key. And you think that the monster had it?
Yes, he kept it in one of his mouths.
Great. All right. Well, hey, you never saw more than one of those monsters around here, did you?
They are solitary creatures.
Beautiful. I think we killed it already, so we can just go back there. It is gonna feel like we're abandoning you, but we're not. We just need to go. I strung it up real pretty in a tree. So.
He genuinely looks surprised, and a bit relieved. And he says, "Oh, thank God.
Which god is that?
You have
You're
made
thinking.
well, of course, the god of death, Tolu.
Just curious.
You have made this realm safer with your actions. I am glad to have signed a contract with you, Ulrich.
By the terms of our contract, we are obligated to do to the best of our ability to attempt to release you, but we must obtain your permission. Do you authorize us or a portion of us to leave to grab the key, and with the intent of returning to release you?
Yes, you. If that is what you feel is the best way to do so.
I can try.
May I ask, is it light or dark outside?
It was light when we came here, although Dungeon Master, I don't remember what time of day.
It was midday when you it was midday when you encountered the cave because you'd been traveling for some of the day. So it would probably
About midday.
probably be about to get there and back. You'd probably be coming back after nightfall.
Yeah. It was about midday when we got here. And we would probably be returning after nightfall.
Well, if you are able to free me, that will certainly be to an advantage, because that would mean that we would be able to travel.
Well, yeah, we may need a rest at that point. But perhaps... Well, we'll figure those logistics out. Hey, if you want, I can take a real quick swing at the chain. If you want to just see.
You can try, but I do not recommend using any magical objects on my binds.
No worries.
I have a crowbar.
I just have, an axe. Just a basic old axe. Never mind, I have a mace. I forgot what I carry.
Yeah, you
now.
don't have an
I
axe
have a
anymore.
mace. I have a mace, just a basic old mace. I could see if I could do that, maybe.
Sure, make a strength check or an attack.
Okay. $28.
That's a hit.
I mean, the damage is gonna be negligible. It's a mace.
Yeah, you do 2 damage.
I mean, do I notice damage?
You notice that there's you know how when you scratch a piece of metal and you just see the scratch along it, you know how gold is easily scratched, right? So you can kind of see just the evidence of wear.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of see just a light scratch on it from that bludgeon.
And forgive me. So it is. What's it actually attached to in terms of the ceiling? Does it have a a linchpin that it's attached to?
There doesn't seem to be any actual connecting point. The metal goes right into the ceiling, almost like it's pulled out and twisted into a braid.
Is the ceiling rock or is it?
It's rock, yeah.
Rock,
Well, I mean, that actually... I mean, I know that stops us from mold earth, but... I mean, one more strike, maybe up top. I don't know if you'd like to be carrying around this thing, since it's going to limit your magic, but at least then we could take a little rest, and then you could travel with us to the mouth.
I would say that me being in this contraption would be considered to be not free until I am out of these binds.
Valid. Fair. Alright, well, let's just go. I got nothing else.
Very well. You've approved us attempting to return with the key. That's what we're going to do. We'll be back.
Okay.
To the extent of our ability.
Is everybody going? Are some people staying?
Saying now might not be a terrible time to sit and ask him for information. Since he has already agreed to provide it.
Yeah, well, he's not free from his bondage yet.
But we did not make him, that wasn't the term that he is bound by. That's the term we're bound by. His cooperation is not conditional on us actually freeing him. His cooperation is conditional on him signing the contract. We just need to make, to the best of our abilities, our attempts to release him. I've attempted to pick the lock, you've attempted to break it, and you're planning to go get the key, all of which have been approved.
If you want, I can burn some key points to just go super duper fast. To the best of my ability.
I can also drop a long strider on one of you.
Can you...
This is way too much talking for Yarvik, so I'll go with Belzian.
Yeah, but as you're heading out, Ulrich will just go, "Hey, can't you just use one of your keys on the lock?"
I mean, we have. Do you think the teeth work as keys? They were in the mouth.
Is it possible to visually send a GIF of the Picard facepalm over the thing? Because that is what Yarvik would do.
You can send visual pictures, but you haven't seen Picard, so you send the equivalent, the Seregen equivalent.
I send a distinguished bald man facepalming over the ring.
That is not what I expected. Okay. I'll stay behind if we want someone to stay behind and chat with them.
If you drop Longstrider on Yarvik and Belzian does the Step of the Wind, I think they would go pretty fast.
Yeah, we'd probably make a pretty good time.
Yeah, it only lasts an hour, but that'll get you some extra juice. So yeah, I'll drop Longstrider on Yarvik. Oh, it just posted the same thing again. Well, there we go.
You cast it twice on Yarvik. Okay.
Yeah.
So Belzian, Roger, and Yarvik are going to be going while Zippo and Ulrich stay. That's correct?
Yeah, that's it.
Zippo's the slowest member of the party, so he's definitely not gonna.
Yeah. And one last reminder while we're not there. Any attempts to free him, you need his permission first.
Yep.
Understood.
Hey, while we make casual conversation, would you like me to continue to attempt to just break the chain?
That is acceptable for me.
Yeah, Ulrich will, while conversing, just occasionally smack at the chains or the chain. Hopefully, same spot.
Sounds good. I'll start with the group that's leaving. So with that cast on yourself and Yarvik, and then Belzian moving at Belzian speed, you make quick pace, and notably, you kind of zigzagged for a while, following different tracks and discerning which tracks were fresher, and until you came to this den. Since Yarvik is kind of leading the way, Yarvik, let's make a survival check just so that you know how to get back here easily. Judging that this is an open plain. You also, do you have any abilities for planes? I think you had something, right?
Hang on just 1 second. That would be under... It's like Plane Strider or something like that. Natural Explorer,
Yeah.
Particularly
Grasslands.
familiar with the type of natural environment, are adept at traveling and surviving in such regions.
Okay.
So I do have
Yeah.
Natural Explorer for Grasslands.
Okay, roll with advantage then. So you can roll a second time, see if you get higher.
Hold on, I just gotta find the button.
Yep. Awesome. All right. You managed to make it pretty quickly, within like an hour and a half, to the dead, strung up creature, the nullifier.
I'm sorry, say that again, please.
Sure. You make it after an hour and a half of travel. You make it to the nullifier.
Okay, so now we're gonna have to. I guess we gotta search for this key.
Just gotta carefully stick our hands in the mouths. I wonder if this is what, like a party favor thing, like birthday parties for children of Necrata. They get to, like, fish out treasures from a nullifier's mouths.
If you asked me, this is how we were going to be ending our day. I would have said, maybe.
I guess we have to investigate thoroughly.
Yeah, I guess we need to do it. What do we want? An investigation? How do we?
So there's investigation, and then the other one is perception. I think investigation's the proper one. So Roger's doing an investigation and rolls a 23. Describe what you're doing, Roger. I believe you need to unmute.
Oh, rip. Zictor said that the key would have been in one of its mouths, so I will check all of the mouths. The one on the actual upright humanoid figure that's drenched in, or at least was when last we checked, drenched in an anti-magic field, but also all of the little mouths that broke off to go attack us.
Okay.
If I can find any of those.
Sure.
And I guess the giant chest cavity.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, there are still 4 mouths on the chest itself. Then there's the 5 that erupted from the creature. And then the main mouth itself. Belzian is sure that the key must be in the main mouth, and begins searching through that main mouth, based on what Zictor said. Jaeger is kind of considering the body itself and like looking in the various openings in the chest. But Roger gets the idea to check the small mouths that had attacked the party individually, rooting through each one. Also, finding an easier time of it because he can just pick up the bundle, flip it, upturn it, and then kind of shake at it to see if anything comes out, right? On your third attempt, the third mouth drops out a metal key that's braided in a similar fashion. You only know that it's a key because it matches the braiding of the noose around the vampire. It's literally a loop that come to a double point that are kind of stuck together. So it's almost like an empty exclamation, like without the period. It's it's just a loop, almost like tweezers, but connected at the end.
And this roughly matches the shape of the lock that I was trying to pick earlier.
Yes.
All right, fellas, I think we found it.
Huzzah! Was it in a mouth?
Yes.
Nice.
Doing anything else while you're on the site?
Does this thing have any pockets?
The creature?
Yeah.
No. It does not have any clothes.
Does it have any, like, flesh pockets?
I mean, if you consider the mouth that you just took something out of as a flesh pocket, then yes.
What better way to defend your pockets than with teeth?
Mm-hmm.
So what you're saying is it's not a marsupial then?
No. Probably not. That would be a pouch, not a pocket.
Wait, what's the difference?
Teeth, apparently.
Ah,
Well, I'm curious, is the anti-magic field still up around this guy? Like, I know we could see it visually when it used it while we were fighting it.
Let me check that.
It's been, what, a couple hours? I guess actually almost all day.
It is no longer in effect.
Okay. Interesting.
Technically, it's been a day because you slept near it, right? You spent
Yeah.
the night there.
Yeah, it's been like just shy of 24 hours. Well, it looks like we have everything we need. Let's head back.
I think we should take a quick perimeter scout, make sure nobody followed us, and then make haste.
One DF.
Yeah, you saw that?
Yep.
It's there's a dice roller, there's a fudge. I guess I don't know why. What's a fudge? Is that like fudging dice rolls? Like, but I don't understand the constituencies of it.
I mean, there is an actual TTRPG called Fudge, which uses weird dice, if I remember correctly. But who knows?
It looks almost binary there, a plus or a 0. Right?
Well, you got a minus on your first one, so it's
Oh yeah, you're right. So it's a trinary. Interesting. Anyway,
Did we find fudge?
no, I just saw it and figured I'd see what that was, but then I also made my own roll.
If we wanted to find Fudge, we would have needed to bring it in our packs.
Ah.
How can you have any pudding if you don't eat your meat? So you are heading back out and heading back toward the lair.
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
Yeah, to the best of our abilities.
Cool. Going to the party that is with the vampire. Ulrich is attempting to swing at the binding. How often are you trying?
He'll make he'll say a sentence, make a swing, wait for an answer, make a swing,
Okay, so you're gonna be like, I guess like how many? For how many swings per minute? Once every 6 seconds, or like?
I think that like in the course of a minute, he'll make 3 swings.
Okay, all right. So every other round.
Yeah, so like every 20 seconds,
Yeah.
essentially.
Okay.
So every third.
Every third
yeah.
round.
Yeah.
Okay. Zippo, what are you doing?
Zippo's going to go back into his bag of boarding, and because his orb's down there, I think. So he's going to go down there and just to, I'm putting a bag of boarding like decently away from the chain since he said no magical objects, and also so that the vampire can't see inside of it.
Okay.
And then I'm going to open the chest that's in there, or is it drawers? I think there was a chest in there, right?
Yeah.
I'm not dumb.
There's a chest.
Right. I'm gonna open the chest that's in there and dig out some pole, like bury essentially the swans in the chest. You know, kind of hide them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to get my my stone. The one I see a the other way from. I'm gonna walk back out. I'm gonna close the bag up after petting Brunhild a minute. I'm going to sit down. Not like right next to the entrance of the cave, but pretty close, and then just go into my orb.
Okay. All right. Since Zippo is orbing it up, it's Orbin time. What are you conversing with the vampire about, Ulrich? I guess we can just naturally do the dialogue if you'd like.
Sure.
Yeah.
So how long have you been a vampire?
Quite a long time.
You serve Queen Cordelia. What exactly is going on between Cordelia and Queen Cordelia, I apologize, and King Zachariah? It seems that there is a bit of a division.
This is perhaps the stretch of the truth. You see, the leadership decided long ago that the machinations therein of our leadership should not be privy to even the strongest of allies, such that of the elves. So, we are entitled to some misdirection. To the elves, the kingdom is split between the king and queen, when in fact the king is nothing more than one of the queen's subjects.
Ah. Okay.
He is king by title alone.
Wonderful. Well, you know what? That brings something to mind. Speaking of pairs of people, the Baroness was obsessing over something about swans. Apparently 2 swans. Do you know anything about that?
The legend of the swans, yes. What of it?
Oh. What do swans have to do with vampires?
Well, it is said that the swans can cure us of sun sickness. Long ago, we were locked into fearing the sun, but with them, this would be no more.
But you'd still be vampires. You still compelled to undead and compelled to drink blood and whatnot.
Yes, that is part of being a vampire.
Well, but so is not having the sun.
Is it though? I suppose I guess it is.
I don't
It
know.
is only
You
a
know better
story
than me.
after all.
Right. Golly, what else? As a faithful subject of Her Majesty, any tips you might have for how we might broker peace? Really not looking to have war break out now that the wall's gone.
Well, you did fairly well negotiating with me.
Okay.
Coming
So-
from a place of advantage always helps, as you did today.
Now, how can I get her in handcuffs? That's the question.
Well, do not use these.
uh, um, did you? This is back to my original question about how long you've been a vampire. But did you choose this life?
It has been so long. Does it
Well,
matter?
No, I'm just a curiosity. Do you know? Oh gosh, those that have defected to Orcus. Do you know much about them?
So it's true then.
Well, I've heard rumor of it.
As have I. But I had hoped that it was just rumor.
Well, yeah, it certainly wouldn't be great, I suppose, if it weren't. So you enter into mini contracts like this?
Oh, from time to time. Not such as this with people of your kind, but
Food, you mean?
your words, not mine. But yes,
Well, yeah.
typically speaking, contracts are reserved for political intrigue, games between parties. I would say I involve myself in contracts less than many of my folk, but I have lived a long life. I have probably had more contracts than you have been alive in number.
Well, that's very, very possible. I'm only 15.
15? 15 what?
No, I'm fucking with you.
15 decade?
Oh, goodness. You're lucky we signed that contract. So, you know what though? Since you are older, did you predate the wall?
Oh yes, by many a time.
Now that is interesting. And so, were you privy to how the wall came to be?
No. But I welcomed
Interesting.
it.
Why did you welcome it?
Well, my kind was being slain. The wall afforded us some refuge.
Well, being slain, that surprises me. I assumed since you have an organized governance here, was there a war on?
Yes,
What was such a threat?
the wall was erected during a great war. A war that swallowed all of the lands.
And did Queen Cordelia?
No, Cordelia was not alive then.
I see. Who ruled?
It does not matter now. They are gone.
Yeah, I suppose it doesn't. But well, when did so Cordelia? I'm sorry, Queen Cordelia. Her Majesty does not have a memory of the time before the wall.
She was asleep.
Interesting. Well, that is good to know. Is there anything, oh gosh, is there anything in particular that Her Majesty might like? A gift, perhaps, that we could bring?
Nothing that your stomach would like.
Yeah.
That is,
Not
unless
really.
you enjoy giving over living things to death. That is. And I do not think you have much in the way of that. That is not protected. So I cannot recommend any.
Oh, that's valid. You know, the only other thing I can really think of right now off the top of my head is what would you do if war broke out again?
Isn't it already?
Well, yes, I suppose in some ways it is. But that is by, after all, the very nature of us being here. Orcus aside.
I do not think we can ignore the Orcus in the room.
Well, yes, but was the war back then simply a war with Orcus? Or was it a war with the peoples to the west and to the north?
It was a war between people. Orcus was not a threat we anticipated. Nor did we anticipate the wall going down, for that matter.
Yeah, it's a funny thing, that.
Oh?
Well, I mean, the wall going down. It's just strange, isn't it?
Well, there are a few things that last forever. That is a curse, as vampires must exist alone, I suppose.
That's funny you call it a curse. You seem rather eager to live,
Yes.
or unlive.
Exist.
Your words. So, in what way is this existence a curse in your mind?
Well, when you have lived more than 15 decades, you tell me.
Well, I understand not wanting to talk about that. during all this, regularly hitting the chains, am I making any progress?
Not really.
Yeah.
You see evidence of your hits, but it's not really like chipping away at it. It's just marked as evidence that you've struck it.
Yeah.
So after maybe 15 minutes of this and not seeing any progress, I assume you probably are gonna call it quits, or are you gonna just
I
keep
think-
going for the whole 3 hours?
No, I think you will give up. I'm sorry. I think that I might just be adding fun sounds to our conversations that we don't need.
Well, I mean, I figured you were trying to make points. They seem so well timed with what you were saying.
Well, yes, it's nice to have a punctuation, but I figure we can just imagine the period. So, you didn't really seem to like the war. Let's envision a future. Orcus is sent back to wherever Orcuses go. There are no demonic or fiendish, rather, threats on the field. But the peoples to the west and to the north, well, do you think Necrata is going to be interested in expanding?
I think I fear more what will try to leave more than what will try and get in. But I do not know my queen in that way. I think us all being called back means something is on her mind. I do not know what her plan is. It could mean expansion, it could mean defense. If it were me, and I do not wish to make this choice, I think I would listen to what you have to say and judge for myself. That being said, I think I hear a creature. One moment. Let me let them in. Hello, little girl.
Oh,
Hello.
holy shit, he can get out of his chain all by himself?
You know, I was gonna make the point, and I just, it's kind of funny. You know, he lived as food here for about a week. Now he knows how some of the humans feel, at least.
Yeah.
I think the more interesting thing is the vampire letting a creature into its home.
Right?
Sorry.
Oh, you're good. So,
Go
what do
ahead.
you do when you're not tied up?
I am an outrider.
A what now?
An outrider.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said an outlider. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So you're really just kind of roaming, ranging about.
I keep an eye on the kingdom. I communicate with other vampires and look for people who try to escape our domain and return them.
Yep. Oh gosh, I wouldn't know anything about riding around your country, searching for folks who would betray the crown. Nothing at all. Which is to say, that's exactly what my life was.
Interesting. I assume it wasn't to return slaves to their masters.
No, it was to find individuals who were not loyal to the king.
Ah. Forgive me for saying this, but I am unconcerned whether they are loyal or not. Submissive. Yes. And this I do not mean with offense. This is in speaking to our ways. I understand that you are not from the Krada, and our way of life is likely an abomination to you. But this is how it is here.
Of course. I wouldn't imagine our ways would seem reasonable to you anyway. You know what? Gosh, and I'll leave you maybe to your thoughts for a little bit after this, but I heard there are Draco Liches around here.
Yes. They are to the south.
As soon as mention of Draco Liches pops up, Zippo comes out of his orb. Oh, can we go get one? Is it going to be our ride to Necrata? Or not to Necrata, but to, that place? That'd be cool. That'd be awesome. Maybe one solo for myself that I can ride on. And
Mayhenir.
Yes.
They
Too excited.
They mainly are around a great lake to the west.
Fuck.
New travel destinations.
That is not the direction that we are going. At present, to travel to Mayhenir, we must go to the mountains. There are some Draco Liches within the mountains, but we will not be crossing on top. They are guards. And let me make no mistake, they are impartial to who they attack. They have even attacked vampire. Weak vampire. Strong vampire have domination over them. But the weak vampire have been attacked and lost.
Do you think there's a way I could convince your queen to maybe, teach me how to take control of the Draco Liches and just have one for myself? Because that's like goal number 5 on Zippo. And Zippo is saying this in person. He's talking about himself with a person. That's goal number 5 of Zippo's to-do list.
Because of one of the clauses of our agreement, I cannot recommend this.
Dang.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, if I think of anything else, I'll chat with you, but I imagine you're tired of prattling on right now.
I am fine with the company. Maybe you can tell me a bit of your lands, not that you have asked me of mine, and I will listen. If you do not wish to, that is sufficient.
no,
Our lands are pretty lame. We don't got Draco Liches.
Right. What he means is our lands are protected from undeath. We specialize in destroying undeath. We have carried on stories of the vampires even after the wall. And we serve a mighty king. It's a united monarchy.
They're not dragons. That's just,
That is true. I believe the dragons are to the north. We have brokered a peace with. But yeah, I don't know. I suppose I can answer some questions potentially. But yeah, off the top of my head, United Monarchy, absolutely. What's the word that I want? Diligent in its ensuring that everyone is loyal to the king, and the king is a beacon of hope and prosperity and military might, and of course the continuing practices of stamping out undeath.
How are they at making contracts?
Oh, very good.
I did free a water elemental named Atlan. He's pretty cool. I got some help from other water elementals because of that, so I assumed he was their king.
And not to screw myself over, but obviously Ulrich is highlighting some untruths there. I mean, the practice of killing undead is not like a thing that I'm aware of Seregen like focusing on, and we don't have a uniting kingdom anymore. We don't have a strong king. So
Yeah, feel free to make a deception. See how effective your mistruths are.
24.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't know. Did you ever travel that way?
Our kingdom once reached into the mountains to the south of your lands.
Oh, interesting.
It's about the furthest I've gone,
The mountains of Dis.
if that's what you called them.
That place sucks.
Yeah, they're the mountains of constantly disrespected by Zippo here.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where kobolds live. I don't like kobolds.
And the conversation kind of, as things do, you talk about small things, and I'm sure the conversation we just had was kind of peppered into that hour and a half to 3 hours. Just for the sake of time and for the sake of intrigue, I want to make sure we get the party back together.
Yep.
But excellent conversation, and I'm sure we'll have more opportunities to have that as we travel together. All right, so the outside portion of the party, I almost called them Outriders because that's on my mind right now. Return to the mine, the lair, with Key. Don't all speak at once.
Oh, sorry, I was muted.
Welcome back.
Key time.
Do we have to ask permission to enter a place for vampires, or is that the other way around?
So, we already have permission to attempt to use the key. And so I will, without really announcing more than just showing that we have it.
Ah, you have located the key. I take it wasn't too hard?
Just a long walk. That's nothing to us at this point.
You're fortunate that I am not out there hunting for the likes of you. Things would have been a very different encounter.
And you are fortunate that that we were here to find a nullifier.
And kill the thing that got you. Yeah.
He smiles.
And then I will use key on lock.
Okay. You put the key into the lock, and it kind of, rather than rather than it fit into it and then you turn it, the key actually goes into the hole and then kind of smooths out to complete where the hole is and smooth it over, and then the noose around the vampire's neck untangles and unties, and now it's just a strand of metallic rope that's hanging from the top of the ceiling. It almost looks like a banded wire. You know what I mean?
Curious. Very well. You look freed to me.
So yeah, he kind of once it unbands, he begins to fall to the ground and then stops mid-air and lowers himself slowly through some other means and settles on the ground. The first thing that you notice about Zictor now that he is down on the ground is that he's about as short as Zippo and Yarvik. Very short person. He has braided hair that is pulled back into a ponytail. So 2 braids on either side that are pulled back, and then his long hair is also pulled back. It is a combination of black and some gray. He also has a short cropped beard.
And what time of day is it now?
It's evening.
Well,
Not quite nightfall. You made good time.
We'll let the party, including Zictor, know that that it's still twilight, and not quite night yet. Well, what's the? I assume you've had the chance to talk to him a little bit, Ulrich. What's the situation with Necrata's political leadership?
Well, Zictor was kind enough to share that the idea that the king and queen are maybe not a united front is misdirection to control the populace. And keep them uninformed.
So who's really in charge?
That would be the queen. The king is a king in name only. And to negotiate with her, well, we need to come from a position of power, as we did here. Now, Zictor felt that if we could handcuff her, that might work.
Well, I don't think we're going to have much luck with these handcuffs.
I actually specifically said that you should not do this.
Yes, I know. It was a little bit of dry humor.
He's full of wet humor, but we won't let you stab him.
Well, I mean, this one is friends with the king of the water elemental. I mean, wet humor abounds. It would seem.
So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe if we could ever figure out any way to negotiate from power, that might, that seems to be our best course of action. The good news that I will take from all of this today is... Oh, hey, I'm sorry. Zictor, I asked who was ruling, because Zictor here has been alive since before the wall rose. And I was asking who ruled at the time, because apparently it wasn't Queen Cordelia, and you said it didn't matter, and that's fine. I don't mind that. But I am curious, how did Queen Cordelia come to rule?
The original ruler abdicated the throne.
I see. Why would the original ruler abdicate?
I do not know. That is their decision.
Indeed. So, what do you think the over-under might be on Her Majesty abdicating at any point? Because at the end of the day, abdication, or however a vampire might die, which seems an impossible thing to me, seems to be the only thing that would... you get what I'm saying. Y'all are immortal, functionally, so abdication seems to be the only way that someone doesn't rule anymore. Do you think that might ever be something that Queen Cordelia might pursue?
She does not seem to be tired of the job yet. Perhaps someday she will like to retire and give someone else rulership, but no. And quite bluntly, she has enjoyed the position for a long time.
Yes. Well, just because we're friends here, I'm asking because the best thing that I think, in addition to making your fine acquaintance, Zictor, that the best thing I think we've gotten today is absolute, as far as we can tell, confirmation on the contractual nature of vampires. And as it happens that we are trying to form a contract, that does embolden my spirits a little bit, that if we were to put forward a contract that Necrata will not attack Seregen, and will not attack to the north either relic, that they will honor that. And perhaps we can even add a clause that says that each new monarch, should she ever abdicate, must swear this as well, or something like that. Although that's probably too vague. But anyway, I just feel a little bit better about our mission from that perspective.
He is a young man, but he does think to the future.
Well, I would think that there were many examples of us dealing in contracts that we honor. Look to the elves. We have had a contract with them for quite a long time. If we were not people of our word, let's just say that the luxuries we afford them did not need to always exist.
That is fair. But experience is belief. You know, another question I did have for you, again, I understand it was such a long time ago, but did it hurt?
Are you coming on to me, Ulrich?
Yes, I'm asking if it hurt when you fell from heaven. No, I'm asking if it hurt when you became a vampire.
I do not remember.
That's fine. But
No.
did it hurt when you fell from heaven?
What is heaven, Ulrich?
I'm just goofing around. You asked if I was coming on to you
I
now.
think he thinks that you fall sometimes when you fly.
He's saying all this with a smile. He's toying with you.
Okay. Well, anyway, that's pretty much the gist of what I got. Oh, Victor actually wasn't sure if the stuff with Orcus was really happening, the defecting, and I did share that, to my knowledge, I'd heard that it was happening, but hadn't experienced it necessarily.
The Baroness of Malkavia expressed concern and much consternation about it when we talked with her.
Yeah,
she seemed genuine.
Yeah, and golly, I guess I just keep thinking of questions. You ever hear of a guy named Claudio?
Claudio. Why? What do you ask?
Well, he seems to have upset the Baroness and perhaps your queen.
I believe that name rings familiar. Maybe a baron in the east, perhaps. I have traveled on the western side of these lands for a bit now.
Yeah. Well.
Why, is he the defector?
They may have been passed around.
Well, I really do wonder, what would convince any of the vampire folks to side with something like Orcus, who seems rather terrible?
Well, you know what Orcus represents, right?
Bad demon times?
He's the demon prince of the undead.
He would enslave the vampires, wouldn't he?
This is why I would not join him. I have a queen. I do not need someone else over us. But I suppose some have chosen a different path.
It's perplexing.
To choose servitude? Depends on what cause you believe in, I suppose. Would I side with Orcus? Never.
What if Orcus provided you great power or a boon of some sort? Maybe there's something there.
Nah, I've already been through one of those kind of contracts. They're not too fun. That's why if I find that one, I got dibs first, okay?
But,
dibs first. I'm hitting it.
But I understand why somebody else might consider it. Dangerous as it might be. Foolhardy, even.
You know, I think that Orcus might just be the pressure you need, Ulrich.
Yeah, I mean that was indeed the pressure that we kind of planned to come down here with, but that pressure did not really seem like it was gonna be enough based on our interactions with the Baroness. So,
but we made a crucial mistake with the Baroness. We did not get a contract.
yes. Of course, but
I trust she afforded you some luxury. Otherwise, you would not be here today.
yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And I suppose in the manner of full disclosure, now that we have a contract, we came to blows.
Okay.
We thought we killed her, but we have reason to believe that she may still be alive after a while, existing After
Yeah, but her
all.
house was burning down last time we saw.
That is true. In fairness, it was self-defense.
The self-defense in which way? As in you defending yourself?
Yes.
Why did she attack you?
Well, apparently, your queen felt that she only needed one of us.
And with all 5 of us being just so awesome, it is truly impossible to choose just one.
I mean, I would be fine if, you know, if it was just sacrificing Roger, but
See, that's not fair. You'd have to sacrifice us all.
Well, the queen has her ways. Perhaps she thought she had the advantage.
oh yes, she certainly did. Based on the instruction to have us killed.
She certainly underestimated you if you managed to kill a baroness. It is no easy
Well,
feat, especially in her
again-
own home.
Kill is a strong word.
Yes, and I use it lightly. Just use your words.
Right.
Yeah, she
But,
she is most certainly still alive.
Great. So, that'll be a fun reunion later.
Oh, it will depend on if she holds a grudge or not. I, for instance, have been killed a few times. There are some that I have made pay for this mistake, and others I have laughed with.
Guess there's just some casual killings going on around here.
Sometimes you have to get things
Yeah.
done.
You know, you're just having fun and putting the laughter in slaughter. Ulrich is gonna think into the rings. He's gonna broadcast to all, but specifically he's gonna say, Zippo, I really think we're gonna have to give over the swans to not the vampires, but we're gonna have to send them through to your elf friend through our little special bag.
That's fair.
Just putting out there that the vampires obviously respond to power. So if we don't have hard power, as in the overwhelming ability to destroy them utterly, the swans are our best soft power.
Well, we have 2 forms of soft power. Maybe even 3. We can promise our aid in the fight against Orcus, who is presenting maybe his own threat of hard power, and we've demonstrated our ability to fight the Queen's lieutenants and win. We have the looming threat of a unified front between Seregen and Relic, which the Queen may not have personal memories of, but certainly she could probe the minds of her charges that do, like Zictor. And that if the negotiators do not return, there will be war. And then we have the swans.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, they're our best form of they're the closest thing we've got to a trump card. So
Even more so if I can figure out how to use them.
Well, so Ulrich would definitely say, like, I agree with this, but my point is that having them on our person may not be as powerful as we might like. I already bungled that pretty badly. I don't know if I like that word. I got a bad feeling about it. I already screwed that up pretty badly with the Baroness, and I just feel like having knowledge of where the swans are is in some ways rather, a bigger bargaining chip than having them on our person.
Counterpoint.
Is there a way to get them to Rift?
Well, that's what we could talk to our little elf friend about. What's his name again?
Gormier.
Gormier, right? Yeah, sorry. Y'all got to travel with him more than I did. Gormier, he could maybe do the running.
If he would be accepted in those lands.
And do we trust him enough to do it?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's such a good question. He seems like a straight shooter to me, and if he's not going to be accepted in Rift, he will be accepted in Seregen.
You're talking the Bronze Dragon lands?
Yeah.
Because Rift's the leader.
Sorry, in Relic, sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, so if we sent him with our blessing, with the understanding, I mean, Rift knows what we're doing here. If we give Rift the keys to the kingdom, one, we get credit. That's a big one. But two, I think Rift would move heaven and earth because he would immediately understand what those represent. And
right.
I think that might be our best course of action.
Yeah, I'm really in thinking that is the way to go. And so what I would like to do, Zippo, is at some point, perhaps during the daytime tomorrow when Zictor is less awake, I'd like to take a jog with you somewhere, a little distance away, try and keep this information from him, have a conversation with Gormier through the bag, give the swans to Gormier, excuse me, and then maybe even just, part of that conversation is whenever you get to like a hurdle, talk through the bag and maybe we can vouch for you, kind of thing.
Oh, one more thing that might be important. We should give one swan to Relic and one to Seregen.
I do like that, but I also trust Rift enough to give, because we don't have two people, we don't have two runners,
Yeah.
I see Roger's point, but it's definitely like us having both swans in one place at one time. If we're compromised, the jig is up.
Yeah.
Rift is strong and the Bronze Dragon clan is very strong, but if they're compromised, the jig is up. I actually do like the idea of separating them by a vast swath of distance. I mean, Seregen in its entirety would have to fall, but I don't know how we make that happen.
Yeah, but to be fair, and a valid point here is, one, we have kind of like a united truce, so the whole relic lands would have to fall, because I imagine they're not just going to let the vampires raid, the lands with the truce going. And I'm not trying to be mean to Seregen by no stretch of the words, although I am actually, because dragons, obviously. Relic has 2 sets of dragons, and whatever else other creatures they have, like those giant birds and stuff like that. Wow. But Seregen kind of only has that dumb guy Marius, and I don't like him.
Well, first and foremost, I think you're judging Marius a little too harshly. But second, we are leaving off the other big elephant in this battle here, and that is Orcus. Orcus, last we saw, The Demon Prince's forces were invading the capital in Relic, so, or the council. You get what I'm saying, right? I mean, like, who knows how Gormir is going to even get it to Rift. That is a hurdle. But these are all perhaps issues to be discussed with Gormir. I mean, Gormir may have an idea on someone else who can maybe take the other swan to the west. That's I like the idea of splitting it. We need a second runner. We do have a situation to the north that we're not aware happening to the west currently. Yeah.
You know who would be a great runner if we could find a way to contact them? Jordan.
Yeah, no, that'd be.
Did that just happen at the same time?
Yeah.
I like that.
I was thinking of it earlier, and I'm sure Jaeger was too. It was like, we need another person. Don't we know another person who is able to go back and forth between Relic and Seregen? Yeah, we do.
We have exactly one person in all of Seregen who fits all of our criteria.
Yeah,
except trustworthy.
He's trustworthy. He went to do literally the same kind of thing we're talking about having Gormir do.
Nah.
He's the best we've got for now.
I mean, you left Atlan behind.
Yeah, but Atlan's like the king of water elementals. I can't expect him to follow me all the time.
And you're not the most powerful dragon around?
I mean, that's arguable.
Okay, if we
In the
give
immediate
Gormir-
vicinity, I am.
What if we give Gormir one of the swans and we keep the other one? Because I believe their power comes from being together, isn't it not?
Yeah, but I feel like if one falls into their hands,
Yeah, the swans have the power to, be like, hey, my partner's over here, because that's what Ulrich was doing with them.
Yeah, you gotta get a sense of where the other one is.
And I do agree with Ulrich on this. It's us having both swans in Relic, or excuse me, in Necrata right now, is like the worst thing possible. Because it would be one thing if it was a nuke that could kill the vampires, but it's exactly the opposite. Like,
Yeah.
It's having them together with us in this incredibly dangerous situation is the worst scenario. So whether we can separate them, anything we can do to keep the vampires from getting these things together is what we should do.
All right, fair enough.
Sorry, Zictor, I just realized we all just have been sitting here in absolute silence.
It's a thing. It's a thing we do. It's fine. He doesn't need to.
It just means we're comfortable with you.
This happens quite a bit with you, I've seen.
Yeah, sometimes I think we're all just trying to think of the next thing to say.
I do have a question. If we're going to be traveling with you for a while, vampires have difficulty being out and about during the day. Do you have how do you plan to accommodate that, and is there any way that we can assist you with that?
Well, we would need to travel at night. That being said, there are ways that I have traveled through day, but it requires a darkness spell that I surround myself with that makes light impenetrable. Or that light cannot penetrate. Sorry, my English sometimes is broken. I mean, my common is...
Well, it's a good thing you remembered that. It'd be really embarrassing if you forgot that you had a spell that could banish light or summon light.
But also, I would recommend we travel at night and I will sleep during day. And I recommend you do the same. We travel in this pattern. It will be easiest for all.
Do you have a forgive me if this is insensitive, do you have a coffin or something that you need to rest in that we should be bringing with us?
I will take care of this.
I ask primarily so that we can abide by the terms of our side of the contract, including making no attempts to kill or destroy you. Protecting you from the sunlight, I consider to be at least partially within the bounds of that.
Unless you have swans, I see no other way than to protect me by traveling at night. He says jokingly.
No, very well then.
Wait, sorry. What's this about swans again? Oh, the swans you were talking about earlier.
Yes, the ones we discussed.
Right.
I actually haven't seen very much wildlife out here at all.
I hope to see some. I will need to feed tonight.
Angry anti-magic giants beside.
Yes, the
Yeah, why don't we just eat the nullifier before it ate you? Like, what else do you feed on?
nullifier are remnants of some old times. They hunt vampires. They are our natural predators. I do not wish to eat said thing.
Well, I don't think any of us want to either. Are there any things in particular we should look out for you if you were looking for a snack?
Well, larger animals will do for a time. I assume none of you wish to be a subject of my sustenance. It seems counterintuitive to our agreement, as it were.
Yep.
Then, unless you see a person wandering about, maybe you could assist me in outriding during the day. If you see any humans that are traveling around while you are watching over me as I sleep, perhaps you could capture them and then I could feed on them when I wake.
Boy, let's think about that.
Well, should we find a source of sustenance for you, we'll let you know. Otherwise, we may have to make do with whatever outside of the party you're able to find while we're traveling at night.
The closer we get to the waste, the larger the creatures will appear. There are some rangers out that way. We do not want to go too far into the waste, though there is a creeping vine that will not do you any favors. Let us just say you do not wish to make them a bed, for you will not wake.
Why does everything in Necrata want to kill you?
Is that in or out of character?
No, that's in character. Yarvik is very curious why this land is so hostile.
And not just to us, to the vampires too.
Necrata is not a forgiving place. It is a test, and only the strongest survive. Tolu tests us all.
Well,
Indeed.
we want to be the very best, like no one ever was. So hopefully we stay the strongest.
Well, shall we set off?
Didn't some of you say that you needed to rest tonight? Or are we going to head out tonight? What is the plan? I would recommend going at once.
Well, I suppose we could push ourselves if others are willing.
I don't think our sleep schedule is ever going to be the same.
No, it likely won't.
It can't get much worse.
At least we do mostly sleep. I'd say we press on.
Well, we'll be in less danger with Zictor here to assist us. Anything
Yeah.
that's a threat to us will certainly be a threat to him, and vice versa.
Hey, as we're walking here, I had another question, because I'm just gonna randomly think of questions for you. So, this Claudio, who may or may not have deserted to be with the Demon Prince, like, you know, I was telling you how, actually, Roger and me both would go after folks who were not loyal to our king. Are there other vampires, or like, are there vampires who are less entwined with Her Majesty, or you know, I guess now in this age of no walls, would a vampire going north or west draw the ire of Her Majesty, or are they allowed to do that?
That is a good question. There are vampires who are imprisoned that have not followed the Queen's wishes or have been imprisoned by a former master. As far as leaving Necrata, I do not know if there is a ban on such a thing at the moment. But we are all being called home, so any that leave Necrata instead would be going against the Queen. So for now, yes, people who leave Necrata at this point would be considered enemies of the Crown.
I don't know.
And now that I think of it, I do believe that Claudio is a baron, yes. It is jogging my memory. As I said, I am not an expert on the barons, but I do believe I have delivered a package or two to him in my outriding duties. Lately, my attentions have been more to the south and the area in between.
Very good.
Well, shall we? He asks as he goes over to an area of the room and picks up a bag with some items within it that appear to match his outfit. His outfit, by the way, is dark traveling clothing, mostly leather, but has some shocks of velvet and fur. Velvet on the interior clothing, and then a fur coat, seemingly to keep a traveler warm, although you're not sure if vampires really need to stay warm or not. The bag itself has the insignia of a howling wolf on it. It's platinum. He looks in his bag, nods as if to say everything seems to be in order, and stops one last time to glance at the bindings that once held him and said, "Thank you for freeing me and for dealing with me. I know what I am. You did not have to. And I know that we needed each other in that moment. I still thank you for this."
We thank you for working with us.
He nods and leaves the cavern, not looking to see if you follow.
Do we do?
All right, and that's where we're going to end session for tonight.
Ta-da!
It was a bottle episode.
Woo!
I mean, some of us left.
Yeah, but ultimately,
It was, I mean, basically, Jaeger had it to a T. We had a session of almost entirely combat, followed by one that was pretty much just a contract negotiation.
I do enjoy the juxtaposition.
campaign has it all.
We seem to have that context shock. This isn't the first time that's happened like that, I think.
No,
This isn't this party's first contract negotiation.
It isn't.
no, it's not our last either. We kind of have to negotiate a lot.
At least one more, possibly several more.
Yeah.
Sorry we didn't get any treasure. That's my fault. I probably could have bargained for some gold.
The real treasure was the vampire friends we made along the way.
That's right.
Yeah, it's an interesting dichotomy, for sure, and I look forward to seeing how that relationship continues to evolve. So,
Look, our safety is more or less assured. His safety is only slightly assured. And largely the things that he wanted and the things that we wanted out of the relationship are written down and sentenced
yes.
and set in ink and paper. So we want to make more contracts with him. We could.
Say, should the rest of us sign that first contract?
I assume that the rest of you did.
Okay.
Otherwise, we would not have proceeded.
Yeah.
I'm assuming. Yeah, the way that I wrote it could be interpreted that all of us need to sign it. I could have written it as a representative from each party, but did not do
Did not
that.
word it that way. Yeah.
It's okay.
Because
I wonder how
I'll put it this way: if not everybody signed it, then there is no contract.
Yeah.
So, all right. But with that being said, excellent job today. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you did too. And I look forward to next time. Speaking of next time is going to be the 13th, the day before Valentine's Day. I mentioned that not caring about Valentine's Day myself, as it being a Hallmark holiday or celebration of a saint. But some of you might have plans that day. So I ask, is the 13th of February an okay time period?
You can say
Yeah.
date. It's okay. I will have to.
It's a good
double
DA.
check with my wife.
Okay. Valentine's Day is the 14th, which is Wednesday. So there's at least that. It's not on the day itself.
Well, I'm running D&D on Wednesdays.
On Wednesday. Got it.
For our in-person group. So our Valentine's Day date will be pushed to an adjacent day, most likely. So I need to make sure the 13th is free.
I'm good. I'm with you. I despise Valentine's Day. It's such BS. So yeah, I'm good.
Oh, I don't care for peachy holidays, but I love wine and chocolate.
True. We can wine and chocolate anytime.
I don't mind a time where I get to celebrate my wife, but I can do that anytime. So I choose to do that way. But that being said, I am going to end the stream. Thanks again for joining us, folks. We'll see you in potentially 2 weeks. If not, we'll update you in the Discord. But until then, bargain well and have a good night. Bye.
Bye.